spillover effect from that, even at cost, is very good for whatever event locale you choose. But again, they are arguing that this is not a violation of the Emoluments Clause where someone is profiting off of something. I believe Judge Andrew Napolitano has a different notion of that. What do you think?
Well, Neil, it's not my notion, it's the Constitution's notion. When the Constitution does not address profits, it addresses any present, as in a gift, any emolument, as in cash, of any kind whatever, I'm quoting the Emoluments Clause, from any king, prince, or foreign state. So if this were a meeting of the governors of the United States, there'd be no Emoluments Clause problem. The purpose of the Emoluments Clause is to keep the President of the United States of America from profiting off of foreign money. Here we go again, not in the campaign, but in some event or entity that he controls or is running. He has bought himself an enormous headache now with the choice of this. This is about as direct and profound a violation of the Emoluments Clause as one could create.
All right, we should explain again, doing a little bit of research here, for the Trump business, and I'm not saying this is the president himself, but it extended to his family, this particular locale is the biggest moneymaker for the Trump family. So I know a little bit, having covered numerous G7 events all over the world over my career, whatever you might lose, because they probably do lose a little bit, given the fact that no one else can go to these venues when the world leaders are there, so it's in lockdown. But again, the carryover, the spillover, that if you go to Sea Island today, they still have the flags of the countries and trees that were planted. It's a great draw to people who visit. Wow, this is where the foreign leaders are. So it has a spillover effect.
Well, most respectfully, Mr. Mulvaney's focus on profit, while it may make sense in the economic world, is not what the framers were concerned about. They were concerned about a gift or cash coming directly or indirectly to the President of the United States, even if it's done at a loss. Now, the President owns shares of stock in a corporation that is one of the owners of this, along with many other investors. He also owns shares of stock in the corporation that manages it. So those corporations will receive a great deal of money from foreign heads of state because this is there. That's exactly what the Emoluments Clause was written to prohibit.
And it does lift the status of the resort in question. Now, Mick Mulvaney was saying, we looked at all the this is the only one we could find. Well, I'm not a golfer. I play miniature golf, so that might count. But there are tons of them around everywhere. Now, I understand with this particular facility, it is large enough to accommodate everybody. They can all be on site to hear Mick Mulvaney say, well, I think that was the same at Sea Island, was certainly that way at Camp David if all the leaders wanted to stay in the neighborhood. So there's an appeal from a security perspective, but if it has the name Trump on it, I think you would bend over backwards to avoid that.
One would think so, but you know the president. He likes a fight, and he's just picked another one.
All right, so where does this go?
I would imagine someone will file another lawsuit. There's two Emoluments Clause lawsuits going on now, one in Baltimore and one in Washington, D.C. Those are active, live cases. Expect a third one, probably in the federal district court in the southern part of Florida.
All right, just to add a little bit, as the judge is talking here, a little bit from this Miami New Times. It's a weekly Miami area paper. It looks at business in the Miami area. And it had said that revenue had been plummeting at the property since 2015. Now, a consultant told them at the time for the Trump organization, and tax officials commenting on this, that in late 2018, the resort was, quote unquote, severely underperforming when compared to comparable hotel properties in South Florida. It could be the name or the brand, Trump, the controversy generating when he first announced he was running for president. It's not a reflection on the president here and about his business acumen, just the controversy the name generates. But again, to avoid any appearance of favoring one property over the other, the administration has gone headfirst into what could be a very controversial back and forth as to whether that would be the best location. To the judge's point, the president has decided that's where it's going to be. More after this.